Good morning. It's hard to believe, but finally, all of the holy days are over. Although Thanksgiving is just around the corner, Sukkot, Simchat Torah, all of it, we are complete until next year. But that means that we've started the reading of the Torah cycle. It began last week with Parshat Breshit, the story of the creation of the world, and it continues this week with Parshat Noach. All of you, I am sure, know the story of Noah's Ark. You don't even have to be a student of the Bible to know the story of Noah's Ark. But in the same portion, there's another section that's a little lesser known, but you'll probably still recognize it. It's the narrative of the Tower of Babel. Now, the word Babel is actually a part of the English language. Isn't there that famous language program right now called Babel? And there's people are babbling along. It's all related to this, the idea that people are unable to communicate because as a punishment for building the tower, God dispersed all the people, all the descendants of Noah, after the flood had already happened, after they had repopulated the earth. God dispersed all of the descendants of Noah because they were in the process of building this tower that's head was going to reach way up into heavens, and God saw that as an infringement on the heavenly sphere. As a punishment for that, the people who until that point had all spoken one language were dispersed, and each area, each group spoke a different language. Now, we could well ask ourselves the question, is it better that we all speak different languages or worse? It's not an easy question to answer. Language is deeply connected to culture, and I would think you would all agree that it's a marvel of the human condition that so many languages and cultures exist, and they're intricately tied. I'm concerned at this moment with people who theoretically speak the same language and yet somehow are unable to communicate. Why is that the case? Typically, we find that the reason people who speak the same languages, let's say English, for example, can't communicate because of a misalignment of values. I see this with families, people who obviously speak the same language but are unable to get on the same page, and often it's because of worldviews or values that don't align, and people just can't come to terms with what the other person is thinking or where the other person's coming from. I think part of the beauty of having all of these different languages, and even part of the beauty of the fact that here in the United States, for example, we have so many regional dialects and differences in language, is that we are intended by God to try and overcome our values differences and try to understand the other person. This is part and parcel of what it means to be a human. To connect with another person, even a person who theoretically speaks your language, and try and find a way to bridge the gaps that are preventing you from really understanding the other person. In this day and age, there are very few more important messages. So I hope as you begin to consider the story of the Tower of Babel, it will have a new meaning, not merely as different languages, French, English, German, Spanish, what have you, but also people who speak the theoretical same language but are unable to get on the same page. This week's portion is an exhortation to try and get over our inability to hear each other even when we speak the same language. Of course, tonight there's services in the War Sanctuary at 6:15. We're looking forward to seeing all of you there. And on behalf of the whole clergy team, I want to wish you Shabbat Shalom.